What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/TalesFromYourServer. This story is called 5-Foot Canadian Granny Rips Corporate Bigwig a New One. Posting on mobile, apologies for any text-based transgressions. Also, it's long, but I'm a stickler for details. No apologies there. I spent the last 3 years traveling around the world, doing this and that, and having a grand old time. I heard about a gig in Canada that sounded pretty sweet. Working up at a fishing lodge in Whoop Whoop for 4 months and earning a heap of moolah whilst doing so. It was a mix of housekeeping and serving, neither of which I'd done before but picked up easily. Also, huge shout out to servers. You guys and gals cop so much crap for so little pay. It was only after working that job that I realized how bloody amazing you all are. Pat, pat, pat. Anywho, the novelty of it all at the start made me look past a lot of schlongish behavior. But towards the end of the season, everyone is fried and your patience wears thin. For the most part, the guests were fine. The old-timers who saved all their money and came up on their yearly fishing trips with their best mates or misses were my favorites. Great to talk to when things slowed down and were so rapt to be up there, no staff could do any wrong. And without fail, they loved my Aussie accent and wanted to know everything about me. Tiring, but adorable. Then there were the corporate guests. Some were nice, but most were entitled douche canoes with too much money and not enough common sense. Any issue we had around the lodge could generally be traced back to these guys, but we couldn't do much about it because they were so good for business. So for the most part, you'd give them a wide berth and be courteous, as opposed to openly friendly and chatty. When guests paid for their 4-day trip, all food is included, as an open bar on wine and beer. Spirits had to be charged, but you can obviously get absolutely maggoted off a few brewskis with the boys, and that's what these corporate groups tended to do. Leery comments to us serving chicks happened most nights, but you just brush them off. You had to have a thick skin working there, and I used to work in the mines in Australia, so it honestly didn't bother me much. Till the day some absolute asswipe of a human decided he had the right to touch me. Whenever I'd bring this group drinks or clear their plates, this one guy would always accidentally brush his arm against my arm or hips. Initially, I ignored it and his slimy, flirty remarks, though I knew what he was doing. Then, one evening, I had my long black shirt sleeves rolled up because it was abnormally hot inside, and you could see some of the tattoos on my arms. He decides it would be acceptable to just grab my arm while I was holding 3 roast beef-laden plates for their table. I'm standing there, awkwardly holding these plates, while he starts asking me about what the tattoos mean. Just as I take a step back and start telling him not to touch me, God, I wish I had some pithy comeback, but I drew a blank. Enter this absolute whirlwind of a grandma. She had been watching this dude all trip mildly harass me, and had had it with him. All 5 nothing of her got up in this guy's face, in front of all his mates, and tore him a new one. I wish I could remember what she said verbatim, but it went a little something like this. How dare you think you have any right to touch this young lady? Here she is doing her job, and you think you have some God-given right to not only talk to her inappropriately, but touch her too? Shame on you. You've obviously done well for yourself professionally, but I have a sneaking suspicion that this isn't the first time you've behaved like this. There's a special place in hell for people like you. He went beet red and contemplated his navel for the entire showdown. When she was done, she asked me if I was okay, which I was, and then she just calmly sat back down and went on with her dinner with her hubby. If I make it to that age, I hope to hell I'm as gutsy and brave as her. Hats off to you, awesome Canadian lady. You made my serving experience a positively memorable one. First off, this person wrote this very well. I love it when elderly folks stick up for the young'uns, but that's actually a huge problem with waitresses, getting touched a lot. For instance, I had someone tell me a story of when she was 15. Actually, this whole thing is kind of inappropriate. Like, her whole working experience was really gross because of the guys that worked there. But she was only 15, okay, and she worked at this very fancy restaurant on this golf course, so obviously the clientele is going to be wealthier old white men, okay? And so yeah, she was only 15, and the manager made her wear these really skimpy dresses and made her be the hostess. And obviously there are there are a lot of pervs that do not care about your age. But that's not what I was necessarily going to talk about, even though there's plenty that could be talked about. But no, she had a coworker, and she was in her mid to late 20s, I believe, and she had worked there for a while. And because she was attractive, and because she wore short shorts a lot, she attracted a lot of attention from, the clientele there. And like I said, they were rich old white men, and I don't think you need me to explain to you the very prevalent associations that one may have with wealthy old white men, such as perversion. Okay, these guys were big old pervs, and they constantly slapped her butt, grabbed her, whatever. And you know what? She allowed it because they always tipped her well. I'm unsure of how I feel about that, because obviously it's disgusting behavior, but I don't know. What do you guys think? This story's called, "Sorry sir, I didn't quite get it. No, we don't have that sauce. Sure, call my manager if you want." So, obligatory mobile formatting apology and obligatory background. I work as a waiter in an upscale sushi restaurant. Just for context, it's an all-you-can-eat restaurant, and we don't have a hostess. So the waiters take the customers to the table, get their drinks, and only go back if the customers require service. We require the customers to wait until a server is available to direct them to a table. Otherwise, we lose control of which tables have been waited. Some customers don't understand why they can't go in if there are tables available, but the cashier usually makes them understand. Also, there's always a soy sauce vial, English is not my first language, so I'm not sure what the correct word is, at the table. But for any additional sauce, such as tare or pepper jelly, you can just ask the server, and if we have enough, we can bring a serving to your table. So I work with another waiter that's been in this profession for over 9 years, and I've been a waiter for less than 6 months, just for context. I was also told by this waiter that I handled the situation better than he would have. Now, on to the story itself. It was a pretty busy night, but me and my coworker were handling it pretty well. So I'm preparing some chopsticks and tamisara, the little plastic tray to put the sauce in, to remake a table when this large man approaches me and asks for something. I didn't understand because the other customers were being pretty loud, so I asked him to repeat. He said, "Bring me some more goddamn teriyaki sauce," and went back to his table. I gave a confused look to my coworker, who was a few feet behind me preparing some drinks, as if asking, "What did you bring him?" since I haven't waited his table and we don't have that sauce. Well, apparently the man saw that. My coworker returns the same confused look, so I go over to his table. I'm sorry, sir, did you say you wanted some teriyaki sauce? We don't have that sauce here. Did you mean tare sauce?
Listen, kid, I asked for some teriyaki sauce before, and your much more competent coworker brought me some.
It was probably tare. I'm 100% sure that we don't have teriyaki sauce here. Would you like some tare sauce?
No, I would like some teriyaki, just like the one I got before.
Was the sauce you got, sir, sweet? Kinda sticky?
Yes.
Then it was the tare sauce. I'll get you some more. Then I went and got the guy some more tare. My coworker heard the whole thing and said he would have just said that we didn't have any more. The sauce is made at the restaurant, so this was pretty common. I just shrugged it off. When I went back to the table, the guy had his arms crossed and was fuming. "Here's your sauce, sir."
Was that so hard?
"Once I was sure what kind of sauce you wanted, sir." "No." Kinda snarky answer, I know.
Listen, kid, I don't like your attitude. I saw the face you made when I asked you for sauce before. Do you have a problem with me? If you do, we can call your manager and solve that right now. Because I'm not having such a nice restaurant being ruined by morons like you.
Me, obviously confused, had forgotten about the face I made to my coworker. "I'm sorry if I did something to offend you, sir." And then I just walked away. The thing is, my manager was behind him, as his table is directly in front of the reception desk. She was there talking to the cashier and came to see the commotion, but without making herself visible to the man. So later that night, I was finishing a table when I saw the manager waving at me from the desk. The customer was there as well. I was kinda nervous, as I've never messed up before and didn't know how my manager would act. I got there and the manager asked the customer, "Was this him?" Customer, head hanging down.
Yes.
"So?" Customer turns to me.
Sorry for being rude with you before. You were trying to help me and I didn't care and didn't try to understand your side.
I was dumbstruck. Thankfully, my manager stepped in before I had to say something and said to the man, "Now that that's settled, you can leave. And please just come back when you've learned the name of all the sauces and know how to treat the staff." Apparently, he was rude to the cashier as well about not being able to go to an empty table without a waiter. The man got out. My manager said, "Next time, call me sooner," and just gave me a wink as she went back to doing manager stuff. That's beautiful. I love managers that are kind of like work parents, sorta. I feel like that management style is effective, like you care about your staff, and you scold them when they do something wrong, and you protect them from unruly customers, and I don't know, it's just a charming management style that we need more of, and it's always wonderful to hear about. This story's called The Table That Made Me Quit My Job. Just read a Yelp review from the table that made me finally leave this job after a year, and it inspired me to make this post. So I worked at a cute little cafe kitchen in Williamsburg, Brooklyn for over a year. You know, the kind of place. Kitschy, Instagram-worthy, very cute, and pretty small, often attracting people who came for the aesthetics. Treat servers like servants, and expect you to bend over backwards for them while simultaneously tipping you about 10%, if they liked you. I worked exclusively brunch shifts, which meant I regularly encountered the people who meet all of the above criteria, and much worse. Now, generally, I enjoyed this job because it was easy. I knew the menu front and back, it was laid back, and my coworkers were cool. But recently, ticket times were 35 to 45 minutes, and it was not a fun time to deal with disgruntled guests constantly. I got treated like crap regularly by guests. We often had brunch parties, and very oftentimes, these were pleasant people who drank a lot and didn't really mind the food wait because they were busy downing mimosas and our very refreshing cucumber vodka drink. However, my last month working at this job brought out the most entitled brunch crowds I'd ever encountered. It was a Sunday, and I got sat at a 12 top. Right off the bat, the host was rude to my assistant manager, yet fairly nice to me, so I was a little weary of this table right off the bat. As the guests started teetering in, most were friendly, and then the two worst people showed up, and they made sure you knew they were going to be difficult. "Hey there, how are you? Can I start you off with a cup of coffee or anything to drink?" Douchebag 1, while not looking at me, says, "Latte, skim." So we don't have skim milk, but we do have whole, almond, or oat. Cue eye roll. Whatever. Now, usually, people who want non-dairy milk will use their words and tell me almond or oat. Otherwise, I assume whole milk when people do not specify. I bring the latte to him. They take a sip. "At what point did I say I wanted whole milk?" At this point, he's finally making eye contact and glaring at me as if I ate the thumb of his newborn baby. "Well, you didn't specify, and I have to take that to assume whole milk." Whatever. Just fix it." "So sorry about that. I'll grab you a new latte." Now, at this point, my assistant manager had been dealing with them because I was annoyed and had to help out our new girl in her section. We have a prefix menu for parties of 8 or more, so food comes out in large platters and bowls. My assistant manager was bringing out a platter of waffles, and a small bit of syrup spilled on the ground near where Douchebag 1's boyfriend, Douchebag 2, was sitting. Apparently, a whole scene was made over the syrup almost spilling on Douchebag 2's expensive new shirt. I don't know why you'd wear a crisp, new white shirt to a place whose specialty is chicken and waffles. That's beyond me. They'd also asked my assistant manager for butter for their waffles, and it took her a hot minute to get it out. We don't regularly have regular butter on the line, so it's a whole ordeal. Keep in mind, these are savory waffles, and we rarely get any butter requests. Apparently, they gave her a bunch of attitude when she did drop it off. Anyway, this isn't my first rodeo. I work most of the big brunch parties at this job, and had just the week before served a wonderful baby shower party. I keep water filled, the table clear of things they don't need, and ask if they need more drinks regularly. Aside from the two douchebags, everyone, who mostly ignored me whenever I tried to ask a question, seemed happy and fine, and the rest of it went smoothly. It was 5 p.m. We stopped seating at 3:45 and stopped serving food at 4. I was doing my side work. Normally, I'm gone by 5:30, but because of this party, I had to hold off on doing side work for a bit, which was fine. Until they posted about how upset they were that no one was tending to their every need after they'd finished their meal, stopped ordering drinks a while ago, and already closed out. Our dining room is set up into 2 rooms of 2 different vibes, but they are literally right next to each other with no separation. I was sitting in the next room doing side work. They were furious that I wasn't right there waiting for them to need me, because they had to walk 10 seconds to get to the next room to ask me to take a photo. They also claimed that they were so thirsty and that no one refilled their water. Very, very false. They posted a new review, this time saying they came back to see if management fixed their service problem. They were delighted to hear I was no longer there, and they were so happy to see all the servants smiling and pretending they loved their job. To this horrific human being who posted on Yelp, I put in my notice because serving your table made me realize just how much I couldn't stand the brunch clientele of this place. I was teetering on the edge of staying and leaving, and your rude, entitled table was just the thing I needed to make me finally leave this place. I'd just like to say that I am sorry for those who have to deal with individuals like that regularly. That just sounds like it would slowly chip away at your soul. Oy. This story's called, Sir, They're Cats. First time poster here on mobile, yada 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 yada. I am not a server, but saw this happen last night. Hopefully it's okay to post here. So last night, my wife and I went to a cat cafe for the first time, where they serve coffee and pastries at a bar and have a room full of cats to hang out with and play with. All of the cats were also available for adoption. These kinds of places have been around for a while, and I love the idea. As we were ordering and waiting for our turn in the cat room, this guy comes out and approaches the counter pretty irritated. He proceeds to interrupt us, walk around behind the counter, and starts benching at the poor barista. I didn't catch everything he said, but he had some issue with the cats not behaving how he wanted them to. Maybe they weren't giving him enough attention. If he was as unpleasant out there as he was in here, it's no wonder. Despite this guy interrupting and invading her counter, the barista gave him the standard perfunctory apology and patiently explained, "Sir, they are cats. They have a mind of their own and won't always do exactly what you want them to do." He launched into,
I paid dollars for this, and this is just ridiculous.
Barista repeats, "Well, they're cats. I'm sorry you didn't enjoy your time here tonight, but they're cats, and there's nothing I can do." This went in circles for a minute until the guy seemed to finally realize how absurd he was being and stormed out. So the barista and I just shared a look and burst out laughing. People are crazy. Hold up, what? Cat cafes? I thought that was just a Japanese thing wait, no, I'm thinking of those cafes where women dress like cats. But what? I gotta go to one of those things. That seems like a good time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.